Good evening, and welcome to the Caring View. Sorry, Mark's just sent me a WhatsApp and completely thrown me off my evening. The online health and social care platform, free to access to absolutely everybody. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, follow us on all of our socials. We're live across LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Twitch, Insta, most likely, I don't know anymore, but we are live across most of those platforms, and especially YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and you will never miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. www.thecaringview.co.uk for all of our free resources, access to our podcast, our chat show, our suppliers, and most importantly, our sponsors. Everything we do on The Caring View is free. It will never cost you a penny. And this is my disclaimer each week, because I know one of you will turn around and try and sue me in the future. If we do start to charge you, we're never going to charge you. It's completely free. And the only reason The Caring View is free is because of the generosity of our fabulous sponsors who just sort of spread their love and joy throughout the social care sector. So without further ado, quick roll call. So we have Prosperwell, the UK's leading digital marketing agency, www.prosperwell.co.uk. If you miss any of the websites as we go through this, just watch us on Catch Up. You can catch all of our episodes, all 4 years worth of episodes over on YouTube, and you can find out all about our sponsors there. We have CBAT, Cares Business Associates Training, for all of your healthcare training requirements. I use them. They're amazing. We use their chaps, trainer courses. They're absolutely fabulous. Get in touch with Elaine over at CBAT and they will help you out, no doubt. We have Attis Care by Attis Insurance Brokers, the comprehensive care coverage and proactive risk management people that you need in your life. They're also a helpful voice on the other end of the line should you need support. Log My Care, the intuitive care management platform loved by complex care providers. They also have a freemium version. So if you're dabbling, you want to try out a DSCR, if you currently use one of the many that sort of flood the market, that give you all the promises and don't deliver, go check them out. Totally worth it. And it's free if you can give it a go. So go try them out. We have Health Automated Online and Learningment Online, AI-driven softwares here, AI-driven care planning, AI-driven training platform, and all the brainchilds, the mastermind, Jack White, who he is, and Jack AI also powers our website. We have Florence. They are directly connecting health and social care professionals with shifts and training around the country. Great alternative agency. Pick who you want. You know when they're coming. You can download their profiles. Gives you all compliant for Regulation 18, which is staffing. So do go check out Florence. Like I said, we have our website powered by Jack AI. And last but not least, we have If My Mouse Will Work, Every Step Care Consultancy, transforming care services with tailored consultancy, turnaround management, coaching, and compliance support. If you are sat there as a manager or as a provider or as an owner going, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. We've had a CQC inspection and it is terrible. What do I do? Or you think we're due a CQC inspection and I think we're terrible. What do I do? What you do is you go to www.everystepcare.com and you get Nicola Holmes in, and Nicola Holmes will sort you out and get you on the right track. Good evening, Mark. Good evening, Devin. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good, thank you very much. Yourself?
I'm very good. I'm very hot. I'm very hot. I'm hot. And I'm also hot. So yeah, I'm doing grand. Devin, good evening. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Great, thank you, and thank you for having me on. I'm presuming you used hot in a number of different adjectives.
Devin, you flatter me. If I wasn't already sweating and perspiring from the heat, I'd be blushing right now. Look, it's great to have you on the show. We're not shy of technical conversations on The Caring View, and tonight is going to be no different. Before we get into tonight's conversation, if anyone missed last week's show, please do go check it out. We had Julie Garrity on. We were talking all things medication in social care. Some really interesting tidbits in that hour-long episode, or just over an hour. You know what Julie's like. You know what I'm like. We don't stop talking. But it really useful episode to help you get prepared for a number of regulations and your CQC inspections. But tonight we're talking about how care tech has been developed and implemented historically. Detached from the front line, forcibly implemented from the top down, trapping care teams in long restrictive contracts. We're all used to this. This all sounds familiar to many of us. And that is what we're discussing tonight. We're discussing the good, the bad, the ugly, but also the great, and what is out there and what we should be doing. So, Devin, before we get started, could you just, in my worst ever Cilla Black impersonation, tell us a bit about who you are and where you're from?
So, Devan Moodley, founder and CEO of Health Connect, which is a artificial intelligence system, and I am based in Manchester.
I don't want your home address. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to come hunt you down.
I've got WhatsApp to you. So.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. You call me hot, so I'll be around there with some alcohol-free beers and a bunch of flowers, Devin. You've wooed me now. So talk to us about Health Connect, and talk to us about how it's AI-driven, what the AI does within your software, within your platform.
Okay, well, let's get straight into the technical detail there. So, I think the starting point is to be very clear about AI as a tool and as a bolt-ons that most people have utilized AI for. There are very few systems, to my knowledge, we're one of the only ones that actually have AI that's integrated into the operational processes as part of a neural network. I'm not going to go on too much about our system unless you want me to. And it's, in essence, giving the normal recording systems a brain. That's probably the best way of putting it. What you have in the majority are systems that were created just to record data, right? They're just recording systems, static systems. You can't utilize that data in a way that makes it functional, operational, and improves efficiency because of the way it was structured. So we infrastructured our system completely differently. From the outset, it was architectured to utilize and embed AI throughout the operational and the clinical processes. And that's what makes it significantly different from what's out there on the market.
Thank you very much. So when you say about embedded AI, what does that mean in simple terms for providers that might be a bit apprehensive about AI in general? So I know that Adam and I have spoken to a few registered managers, and I think when you speak to them about AIs in, if they're using social media, AI is actually behind the algorithms, but I don't think they necessarily think about it like that. And I think in manager groups, there's a lot of people, the second you talk about AI, I think because there's lack of government guidance, lack of CQC guidance, I think they stand back a bit and they think about it a bit more. What does that mean in terms of what you're saying there around that it's embedded in everything that you're doing?
So I think there's not a little, I think there's a lot of apprehension around AI. But the practical reality is that whilst managers and operators might be concerned about the use of it within their services, the bottom line, Mark, is that people are going and using GPT and other open AIs, right? They are being used. And the reason why they're using that, if your systems were fit for purpose and good enough, people wouldn't be looking for workarounds. There's a reason that we have such massive unauthorized use. People are dumping confidential data into these systems, training those systems, taking policies, taking procedures, putting it in, getting AI to rewrite it, and then you'll have 10 different citations and references, which don't exist, by the way, right? But it's produced so beautifully, it's written in such polished language that will convince anyone that it is the real deal. So people are using it. So I think we should actually dispel this myth of AI, the concern around AI, because the majority of people, including the public and the patients, are utilizing AI. That's a fact. And that is only going to increase over time, right? In a very short period of time, we're going to go and see more and more AI usage. So the difference in terms of what's governed, what's regulated, is very, very significant. And if you train your AI properly, which hasn't been done with the OpenAI models in terms of governance structures, then it will produce the outputs that you want. It will reduce the hallucinations, for example. So practical terms, Mark, if we have 100 policies uploaded into it and you want information about the policies and you want to extract data from there to use during your processes, the system will do it for you, but it'll reference only what you have put into the system. Now that's niche, right? And if you're training it on niche knowledge and domain specific, then you don't have the issues that we are having with all of the other systems that people are using. The question to ask is, why are people using those other systems? Clearly, there is a need for a better, more effective way of doing things. And the unauthorized use of AI, or the use of unauthorized AI, is just creeping up. So the best way to address that problem is to look at the systems that we have and how are we going to embed AI in a meaningful way that's going to actually produce positive outcomes and tangible results. A practical example, summaries. You take your care records, your daily records, you want to do a handover. Our system will summarize it in seconds. Okay, so, and it will summarize it accurately, incredibly accurately, taking all the data from that day. And we can put in things like, has there been an increase in risk? Has this been elevated? Has there been a change? Whatever parameters that you want to put in, it will do it. And it will do it with incredible speed and accuracy. So the savings that come from that are incredibly tangible and measurable.
No, thank you very much. Just got a few, let's see, in the comments. I think that's all interesting. And I think you are right, just as I look through, just see if there's any questions. I think you are right. I think in my own organisation, for example, I think our computers, obviously, we're a local authority owned. So obviously when ChatGPT hit the market, I think all the staff were loving life and using it, obviously very cautiously in terms of the data that was going into it. And then they banned it and rolled out Copilot. But I think people had already got used to using ChatGPT. So then what we saw was people using it on their own personal devices while there was a delay between Copilot rolling out to everybody, which actually as an organisation made it more of a risk than what we actually knew people were putting in. Because actually, A, it was on their own device, B, we didn't know what they were using, what they were putting in. There was a transfer of hopefully not any identifiable data, but data from a work device into a personal device and bits and pieces. And very quickly we've had to, react and say, actually, you can use it. And we had to speed up the rollout of Copilot so that everybody had it on their devices to kind of stop that. But yeah, I think it's everywhere, isn't it? And I don't think if you're an organisation, you're not going to stop it. And I think you are right. People will just go underground and use it regardless and not tell you that they're using it. And I think once you've started, definitely generative AI takes away all that thinking for you. I know I've been called into meetings last minute and I've put data into our AI platforms just to ask it to summarize it and give me something to do as a handover if I've not had a chance to kind of prepare. And in my head, I do think sometimes, why am I spending all weekend putting together a report? I could just be putting this into Copilot and ask it. I mean, you do obviously have to double check, but yeah, I think you are right. It saves the admin time hugely. Adam, while I look into these comments, because I'm looking at asking, anything from you?
No, I think so. I'm on the fence. I mean, I love AI and AI is here to stay. I mean, if we go back 25 years, people are going, oh, text messages won't cotton on. People won't use mobile phones, blah, 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 blah. Look at us now. Like everyone's got like 15 mobile phones to do whatever they need to do throughout the day. They aren't going away. AI is not going away. And I think you are right, Devin. People are using AI unrestricted because our current systems, current processes either don't work effectively or efficiently for us, or the world sped up so much that people want more from us in a shorter period of time. And actually, it's easy for us to use AI to do that sort of work. And I do think AI has a real good place in things like data analysis. Ring-fenced AI, definitely. And the more I see within the social care circuit, the more I am feeling that actually AI written care plans is most likely going to become a future thing. And I think will be necessary. The amount of work that nurses and carers are doing in services is only increasing. NHS are pulling services left, right, and centre. There's less support for us now from stakeholders for various different things. So their time is being used up. And AI, if it can help, wonderful, let's do it. My biggest concern, though, is around that ring fence and is around making sure that our data is protected, making sure that we know where it's going and who has access to it and it's not disappearing. There's no racial or gender bias involved in it. There's no hallucinations, like you say. And I think there is that element of people actually having to commit to read through what they've generated and go, yes, that's okay and that's correct, rather than just generating it and throwing it out there for it to be used. But I definitely think there is a place for it. Unfortunately, we live in an era now where technology gets developed and it's out there in the public domain before we can even rigorously test it and put safeguarding measures in place. It's just there ready to use, whereas once upon a day we wouldn't have had. And it's hard to it's like Pandora's box. We've opened it now and we can't put stuff back in. So how do we manage what's come out and how do we make that safe for everyone?
I think you can. And I think this is where I'll just touch on one point first before we go on to the safety side of it. Within 6 months, you will have AI writing more person-centered care plans than humans, and you'd have a validated mechanism and a medical device registered doing it within 6 months. I guarantee you that's going to happen. The governance structures around the AI, and this is where we have to be clear about humans getting involved. And it does not mean that you need any type of technical expertise whatsoever, right? We can build an infrastructure where everything from your audit trails through to the contributions are clear, transparent, and visible to everyone. And those are the models, and that's what's used to train the AI. That's absolutely doable. And it also means that the professionals across the spectrum, right? Because the most important thing is not your technical knowledge at all. It's about the clinical experience that all of us bring, the operational experience that we bring, and getting that into a network that contributes to development of artificial intelligence. That is the way to do it. It can be done, and it can be done quite quickly as well. That's what's been missing. And if we do that, then what we have done is we have removed a lot of the suspicions around it because of the transparency that comes from implementing a system like that, which again, I think we'll come to that probably later on. We're less than 6 months away from being able to do that as well. But what that is going to take is a large group of people like yourselves and care workers across the spectrum. And the great thing is that there are many of these people that are willing to do that. You guys have generated lots and lots of free resources, utilized your time, your spare time, and put these things out there. What I'm saying to you is we can do this now in a much more structured way that results in the development of systems and tools that everyone can use. And it's about putting that infrastructure into place. The infrastructure is less of an issue, Adam, than getting the people involved. And this is where we all have the opportunity to contribute and not be left out. Because the problem that you're facing at the moment, I don't know if you guys saw the stuff about GPT-5. I mean, it's just ridiculous in terms of you don't need doctors anymore. Just go to GPT-5. It's a big thing that Sam Altman did, brought patient onto the stage and says, well, there you go. It should be used in healthcare. And made the point that you can actually replace clinicians. Our view is exactly the opposite. You can't and you shouldn't. But what you have is we live in an era and in a society where convenience comes first. And big tech is doing what it believes people want. And the longer we stay out of that, then we can have things built and dictated and forced upon us. They're not going to wait for permission. So the opportunity is there here and now for us to all get involved in shaping the development of AI, because you're right, it's here to stay. It is not going anywhere. And it's whether or not that opportunity is taken by all of us, or whether we leave it to big tech to dictate. And you can see what's happened with the GPT side of it. It's mass adoption. Nobody would have expected it to have taken off the way in which it has done. And that trajectory will continue unless we group together and provide a collaborative network to shape both the development and the governance around it. That's what needs to be done.
Thank you very much. Adam, anything from you before I go into the comments?
No, nothing else. Nothing else from me.
Okie dokie. Jack's watching from Spain. Jack, I hope it's not as hot as it is here and unbearable. We have got Braintree Dementia Action Alliance. Looking forward to tonight's show. Great to see Devan joining you. Been following the Health Connect journey on LinkedIn. Tina's put, good evening, guys. Looking forward to the chat tonight, especially with the Care England publications on use of AI. Tina, I did try and find that. I can see that the Action Alliance have replied to you. If you've got the link to that, if you can share it, that would be handy. Okay, so Tina has put, I wonder how long it will take before AI takes over CQC inspection data intelligence activity. This will remove some of the inspector bias that is frequently complained about. I think they're probably already using
I was just
AI
about to
algorithms.
say, they're already whacking stuff into ChatGPT. They don't give a fuck. They're already going, how's this home? You know, what should I give this home? Is this home safe? In fact, I received a letter from quite a senior official person the other week. And I was reading through it, and I'm looking at it and how it's structured and how it's got headings in bold and M dashes all over. I was like, this is a official document that's come out addressing the sector. And I'm like, this has been written by AI. You've not even written this. This has been written by AI, and I can tell how disingenuous. So if people in councils can do that, then I'm not going to put it past the CQC.
Everyone's doing it. Everyone's using it, and I mean, it's not about being pragmatic. It's about being honest. There's absolutely no way people aren't doing what they suggest that they're doing. Right? Policies are being written. Procedures are being written by AI. Of course they are. And I would be surprised if there isn't an inspector somewhere who's done exactly what you said, put in a prompt, or probably set up a project now on GPT-5, right, which allows you to you put in your parameters and it'll tell you what it thinks the ratings are, whether or not you should go out, when it thinks you should go out. I mean, it's ridiculous. I tried that by taking some of their reports and saying, well, this is what's happened with a particular service. This is the last report. What should I look at? And it very confidently told me when I should go out. In fact, it measured it in hours, right? With so many days and so many hours. You can ask it to be that precise, right? Which is rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. It's just total rubbish. That's the problem that we have, right? Because it will give you the answer that you want. It will answer. It's never going to say, I don't know. Whereas what we are saying is that how we are doing it with regards to a domain-specific and very, very niche LLM. It will do that. It will tell you, I'm not programmed to answer that particular question. I cannot give you that answer. There's nothing wrong with that. But OpenAI and all of the other LLMs, they are not wired that way. They will give you a response.
Yeah. Sounds like our politicians. Most likely our government's being run on AI. I know America is. People are using AI for the sake of using it. Some people do not understand why they will benefit, and a lot of it is educational related, and understanding the reasons and benefits of introducing it for their services. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. That's another fundamental problem that's creeping in. Beyond digitization, what you're seeing is that a lot of providers are, I'm not going to be careful with my words, they're being sucked into buying rubbish, right? Because everyone says, I'm doing something with AI. It's absolute nonsense. Here's a chatbot, you know. I mean, we probably develop it in about 4 hours, but, you know, they'll go out and sell it. And because there's this belief that you have to use it or your competitors are going to get ahead, people are buying and implementing systems and AI bolt-ons.
We have lost Devan for a moment. I'll bring in the, oh, you're back, Devan. I'll bring in the next comment, which is from Tina. In a service last week, assessment with the person using the service and the care plan was written by AI. Agreed and discussed with the person. First care plan development time reduced to an hour with the client, and the carers had instructions straight away. I think what would be great is if actually we get the person that's using the care service to use the AI to develop their own care plan, actually, because it would upskill them in technology. I'm definitely thinking, you know, if you're looking after somebody in supported living or somebody a lot more independent and able, actually how fantastic to kind of upskill them in a new digital technology era, because then they'll be able to use that on other things. But yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people using it to build care plans, risk assessments and bits and pieces.
And it doesn't help because your councils want you to have 1,500 care plans for one person. It's like, oh, that needs a care plan. Oh, that needs a care plan. It's like, no one's reading these care plans. Like, calm down. Like, there are too many care plans now. We're losing focus of what is actually important in social care.
Petros says, for me, AI is useful in many ways, but needs to be regulated. We all know the implications of non-regulated health services.
Devan, just to go back to that for a second, Devan, if we were to regulate AI, what do you think that should look like? Can that happen?
Practically. I'm not sure it would solve the problem, because people are still going to go and utilize unregulated tools. I think unless you have systems which are take away the need for you to go and use something that's unauthorized, the problem is going to exist. I guarantee you that across the country, people in the local authorities, you see in NHS, are all breaking the law, right? They are dumping information in. And some people say it very openly as well. They do. So the fundamental problem is why have we got to go and use a system that most of us will say is unsafe, does spit out nonsense. Everyone talks about the hallucinations, that it will simply make things up, but they'll still go and use it. And that's because what we currently have is not good enough. Then you have another problem, Adam. Your patients are all using it. So all of a sudden, they've got an advantage in a sense, right? And they come in well prepared with these documents that have been produced by AI. And what have you got? Some arcane system that was cool when flip phones were cool. Some of our audiences probably don't even know what a flip phone is. That's how long ago it was, right? So there needs to be this leveling up. And it's about putting in systems and having guidance and work done around AI that is, I think, niche specific. We're in a situation now where we have these models that people are now saying should be used in healthcare, although they're not regulated models at all. And the more adoption that you have from the public, the greater the problem is, because you have these unregulated models now just taking over. And that's what's happening. So I think we should have regulations. I mean, Britain, Europe's fantastic at creating regulations. That's one of the things we export more than anything else. And they will make a difference, a slight difference, but that's not the answer. That's not the answer. I think going down the route of collaborative tools, that is probably the best way to go. Because even if you put guidance in, and even if you put regulations in, who's going to tell you how they've trained their models? Who's going to give you their secret sources? They're not going to do that. So you are never, ever going to know what's happening in the back end. You're just not. It's just too commercially sensitive to do that. So what are you going to regulate? And that's where the difficulty is. So I think, yes, to regulations to a degree, but I don't think it solves the underlying problem whatsoever. And this is where I think that the human first thing comes in, because this is where, and we've got tons of people that can collaborate and do that. It's about having transparency in terms of the training.
I feel like the AI people are trying to take you down tonight, Devan. I feel like they're going, no, he's talking about OpenAI. Let's take him down. We've got Skynet after this. I'll have a Terminator walking through the door in a second. I just want to go on what you were talking about then, but also a bit before about how if systems did what we need them to do, we wouldn't be in the situation of using non-regulated services. And I've used systems in the past. I'm currently using systems at the moment where one today, actually, a manager and I were sat down having a look at one of our systems. And we're like, wouldn't it be great if it just did this for us? The fact that it doesn't do this and we're having to put it into an Excel sheet to pull some data out, and you'd think this system with all of its fancy tools would do a report for us, and it doesn't do what we need it to. And we resorted to using Excel to sort of pull that data out. I felt very much like I was just about to put a floppy disk into my computer because I was going that backwards with my technology. And I was thinking to myself, why doesn't the system do the basic of what we need it to do? And I'm going to segue into a question, but for me, this shows the importance of what it is to work with your service providers, your system providers, around their roadmap, around feeding back, around the usability, what functions you need, what's working, what's not working for you. And I know in the past you've spoken about how your product was co-designed for the sector, by the sector. What did that process look like and who was involved?
We've expanded that out massively now. So the starting point is that the group of us that founded this have had lengthy experience, like yourself, in running care facilities. So we had the clinical and the operational experience. Well, you had a group that knew what it was like to work in the front line and knew what it was like to work at C-suite level. By the way, when we got our outstandings, several of them, we never ran digital systems. And the reason we didn't run them, yeah, I know that sounds surprising, but we didn't feel that any of them were good enough to use for the reasons you've just mentioned, right? And so we didn't implement them to start with. So from everyone, it's expanded out massively, from registered managers, support workers, nurses, care consultants, turnaround consultants, XCQC inspectors, people from abroad, who have contributed, particularly nursing and operational directors that have contributed towards the development of the system. And now we're expanding that out even more. So it's a broad range of clinicians. And that has been one of the most fantastic parts of all of this, right? That there are people out there that are willing to do this, that want to do this, that want to see care improve, and that will dedicate their time and their experience in order to develop the system. So our process is we have a playbook, right? And the first thing that we do is we'll put together what the
You might not find out what's in the playbook.
We lost you for a second there, Dev. We got to playbook.
which so we look at what the outcome is. When we get requests, it's about what do you want to achieve from that? Because the one thing we hate doing is digitizing more forms. People just digitize forms all the time. That's what they want to do. And to us, that's digitizing dysfunction. So every element that we built has got to have a very specific outcome.
I'm going to blame the heat. I'm going to say it's the heat that's doing this. You're back, I think.
And I keep my answers much more succinct, and then pause in between, right? Very dramatically. Dramatic pause. I'm not sure where you lost me. Sorry, yeah, where I got lost there. So the co-design process, ultimately what it's about is that every feature there exists because it has been determined that there is a need for department that
awesome. I feel like someone's out for you tonight, Devan. I do. I feel like someone's like, do you know what? We're not having this freely spoken conversation about AI where people are going to sort of take us down. I think we got the gist of that. And I think what's reassuring is there are so many people who have got experience. And this is a big thing I have about providers that come into this sector and go, there's a market here. Let's create a product and flip it. I've got no idea how to run a care home. I've got no idea about home care. I've got no idea about social care, but I'm going to create a product because I think it's what people need. I'm not going to ask them what they need. I'm going to say, this is going to solve your problems. It doesn't do any of that. And then they sell it for a pretty penny and they get Google investments and an office in Zurich or wherever it is. And it's really concerning the amount of providers, tech providers, that we see doing that within the sector. So for me, it's really reassuring to hear that Health Connect are working in a way where it is co-produced by expertise, by people who have got so much experience in care, and it makes me feel like I can trust it. I've actually bookmarked your webpage thinking, right, I need to have a look at this seriously in the future because I feel like I can trust this system knowing where the ideas have come from.
Yeah, and we're going to expand on that, as I said, in terms of the transparency element and those people that have been involved in developing it and who are going to be contributing more time and effort and open sourcing. And there's quite a lot of stuff. Did I say open sourcing? Okay. Yeah. that is one of the things that we're going to do. AI should have shut me off then, or one of the other competitors should have. But they didn't. Right. We're on. And do you know what I think? I think Adam is sometimes just going and freezing himself, and then I get distracted and think that the system's down. Right? I'm positive he's done that during this. He's just taking advantage of the situation.
I was a mime in a previous job, so I can just sit there nice and still, and it nerves people. No, I'm joking. I am joking. Right.
It's that trust and transparency, and that's only going. So the more people that we have that are respected within the sector and that are credible, that are contributing to very, very specific elements, and there's more of that will come out and it will put there. That's when you will get buy-in, and we are going to open source stuff. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And hopefully what that's going to do is encourage other people to contribute. And then what we have is more experts and more people. This is all about empowering people. You know, the big difference is about us wanting to utilize artificial intelligence and technology in a manner that's going to empower everyone across the care sector, as opposed to replacement, which is what big tech is going to do. And what we have to do is encourage people to get involved. The first cohort of people are involved in terms of doing it. And I think it's about expanding that out so people can see the opportunities that come from there, and that it becomes a much more trustworthy system. That's what needs to be done.
I'm going to agree. I understand some of that, Devan. I'm not a troglodyte, but I do struggle sometimes with this, with the lingo in AI. But no, I agree, and I think open sourcing is one of those ways to go. Now, Dina has come into the chat, if I can get my mouse to work, and has said, malpractice liability. If AI tools contribute to a clinical error, who is responsible? The hospital, the clinician, or the vendor? Or all of the above?
It depends on the tool, really. And it depends what the tool is being used for and whether it has. So at the moment, you don't have many tools that are licensed as medical devices. Is it an authorized tool? Is it an unauthorized tool? If it's unauthorized, then basically it's going to be the hospital, the clinician. The vendors are generally, when have you ever seen, I mean, come on, you guys have been around, when have you ever seen a digital service provider being held responsible for something that's gone wrong? It's always the end user, isn't it? Unless it's very, very, very rare. And there's always these caveats about use it with caution and we can make mistakes, and you see that on OpenAI, etc. So at the moment, what I would say, it is the hospital and the clinician that would unfortunately be the ones that are held accountable and responsible.
And I suppose, I know we asked about regulation earlier on. If an AI tool does become to a point where it is considered a sort of health tool, clinical tool, it would have to be regulated by the CQC anyway. So
yeah,
regulation would come into that aspect. So actually, I can't imagine any system wanting to get into a position where they're going to be regulated by the Care Quality Commission, because the Care Quality Commission, I don't think will have a Scooby of where to start on regulating AI health tools. I just don't think they're going to, and I don't think we're there yet. Tanya has come and said, AI is only there as a support companion. Our design is aimed to make it clear that it's a decision support and prompts. It doesn't make decisions for the clinicians, and that's what I think you've been saying, Devan, for us tonight. Is it is there just as a support tool, which I think is great, and they exist. They have to exist. I don't want this conversation to be around justifying why they exist, because we know why they exist and we know they're there and we know they're useful. I think what I want to sort of find out from yourself tonight is, we've spoken about the collaboration, we've spoken about the co-production, we've spoken about how you've got to where you are now. Let's risk it. Let's try and get you taken down again by these tech companies that are out there. Why do you think we have got so many suppliers in the sector at the moment that aren't fit for purpose? I'm just going to stick it in. I don't care.
While Devan thinks about that answer, I also think we're now in a position where some of the systems that aren't using AI, a bit like what you were saying earlier, Adam, actually, when you're using them and they can't do all the bits and pieces that we're now familiar with, actually, to me, they're not fit for purpose either in the sector, because actually, you're then trying to find workarounds to make that system meet the needs of your service. And I guess this is what we touched on earlier around people being in long contracts for 3-5 years, and actually I wouldn't be signing anything past a year at the moment, because I think technology is moving so fast in terms of what you're signing up for today will look completely different in 6 months, in a year's time. But still, I think there's a double-edged sword there. I think you've got not fit for purpose systems in general, but also ones that haven't kind of come along on that digital journey in their own roadmap to where they should be. But that's just about 5 pennies for. I thought I'd give you some time there, Devan, to think about the answer you wanted to give.
I really appreciate the time that you gave me there, and I think I'll also use some of what you've said in terms of answering that question. So what have we done? So firstly, risk off in the sector. We know that there's just so much of inertia. Okay, it's still on, or have I gone? No.
You're back.
You're back.
You're back. Now we can't hear you. Oh, no, we can hear you now.
You can hear me. I think it's been a combination of things. I think lots of providers probably. Are we back?
If it's any consolation, Devan, you're having really good freeze frames. Usually when my camera freezes, like, oh, but you look really sort of good in your freeze frames.
I'm glad, because otherwise Tonya would be taking screenshots and using them against me. So you know, so okay. So what's happened is that it's been a combination, I think, of both the tech providers and the care providers, and we've ended up normalizing mediocrity. Okay, that's basically one of the things that's happened. What you've had is nobody's thought about this problem other than from competitive advantage as opposed to collaborative advantage. And therefore you have all of these silos. You've got tons of data silos also, but you do have some fantastic applications out there, right? They just work in isolation because people have gone out and developed these things on their own and haven't looked at integration and haven't looked at how it would fit into an ecosystem. It's completely the opposite of how we've approached the problem. And that is what has contributed to this massive problem. And because AI has made it easy now for someone to put in chatbots, which has just resulted in creating further silos. Dysfunction of the system. That's a major problem. So who's the we?
Do we have you back, Devan? You are back.
I'm back. Okay. So I think the way I would look at this is ultimately the people that are going to be able to make the decisions are the care providers themselves. And depending on the type of organization, it's either going to be someone at the top who hasn't seen a patient since flip phones are cool. And so it's completely detached from the front line, right? But I think the questions that they should be asking themselves are based around the technology that you're using now is going to be a reflection of the organization. It's going to impact on the culture, and it's going to tell the world a lot about the organization, and the decisions and determinations will be made as we go forward. There's no doubt about that, right? The question that you should be asking and considering is does this technology really reflect the culture of my organization, the image of my organization? And if I took what I've got today offline, would that really upset my staff, and would they all fight for it to be put back in? And I think
I was smirking then because when you were saying if we took our systems offline, would our teams fight for them to be back? Would they go, I need this back? And I was chuckling to myself, thinking I've got a couple of systems where my team would be like, woohoo!
Exactly. And I'm sure it's a lot more than a couple.
But I caveat that with some of the systems that we use, I feel are necessary because processes weren't embedded and in place beforehand. And actually the sector has changed so much that actually some of these systems now are a necessary evil to make sure that we are compliant and that we're getting done what we need to do. It's just trying to find the right way to use them or the right way to make them effective for the team. What I find around some systems, and I'll use digital social care records, for example, or governance tools, is because there's such a lack of foundational knowledge across the whole of social care. I'm not referring to my organizations here, I'm referring to the whole of social care, because there is such a lack of foundational knowledge around the basics of, say, care planning or audit management or data analysis or themes and trends or risk management, that we're going to digital systems to make life easier for us to pull all this data out. But we also have a sector that doesn't understand it in the first instance, let alone understand it digitally. they wouldn't even know how to do it on paper or on Excel or in a Word document. So I think we're advancing technologically, but we're also advancing with our expectations of what our team should be doing, without providing that foundational knowledge. So I think it's two sides to why technology sometimes fails, because they don't get the basics of it first, let alone the actual technological aspect. And the one thing I say to people when they're implementing digital systems, especially digital social care records or EMR systems, is you have so much data at your fingertips now. If you don't do anything with that data, you'll fail on Regulation 17, which is good governance, because you're telling us you get all of this data, but then you're doing nothing with it. You know, if you didn't have that data, you couldn't do anything with it. So you're not going to show that you've got poor governance. Get all this data and don't know how to access it, don't know what to do with it, don't know how to generate your reports or analyze it for your themes and trends and pick out your risks proactively. You're putting yourselves at such a risk of failing on Regulation 17. So it's around, for me, it's like a holistic approach to this sort of data approach now. Is this is what we mean by data. This is what we mean by analysis. This is what we mean by themes and trends. This is what we mean by digital systems. And there's a lot of learning going on. And I feel like social care is trying to run before it can walk.
Yeah. And I think if you look at all of that data and being able to utilize that data and instantaneously audit, that systems can do that at this point in time. There's no doubt. One of the problems in social care is how unstructured the data is. And this goes back to the vendors who have, I have my cynical views as to why data is as unstructured as it is. It makes it very difficult to move and to change and to hand it over. And that's a problem. It shouldn't be that way. And you mentioned the contract stuff. One of my biggest bugbears is if your system is so brilliant, why do you have to log people into those 5-year contracts? You shouldn't. And technology moves so quickly. I'm buying a system today, right? 6 months down the line, the way technology is moving, how fit for purpose is it going to be? Let alone the systems that we're currently using, which were designed when flip phones were cool. And they're not fit for modern care. Care has evolved. You had Julie Garrity on last week, who corrected me about the regulations, and actually there hasn't been that much of a change in them, and that's a fair point. But it's everything else around them that has evolved over time, including the patient input, right? It has become more collaborative. So you can't use systems that were designed for 10 years ago anymore. And the rate of change, Adam, is exponential. It's not linear anymore. Ever since OpenAI came onto the scene, it's changed everything in terms of how we code, how we can build things, etc. So if you were so confident as a vendor, what you should do is say, you know what, you can cancel it after a month. Why not? That's a confidence. Yeah, that's a confidence we have in our system. If it's not delivering, then you know what, cancel the contract. And roadmaps, right? You can't hold people to roadmaps either. I can show you a roadmap. Anyone can show you a roadmap. It's not something that can be used to then break a contract. But I think what providers should be saying is, look, why do I have to be held to such a long contract? And I think it's difficult because, firstly, people wanted to digitize and went down the process of choosing systems. And it's not about having made a mistake. It's about the practical reality of where we are now, that those systems are no longer fit for purpose. They're just not.
No. And I know I'm going to say a very popular policy management system out there. I spoke with them the other day. And I asked around a function that I was looking for, and they said, no, it doesn't exist at the minute. I said, oh, is it on your roadmap? And they went, we don't have a roadmap, but we can definitely suggest it. And I was like, okay, so basically what you're telling me is you're not planning any improvements, any product changes, you're not looking to the future, you're not listening to what people are needing and wanting, you're not implementing new products. Basically what you're saying is you've got enough customers now just to ride this out, and you're comfortable with it. And I was worried because I was like, but there's all this stuff that I want to see happen. Like, I imagine AI generated policies where you say, this is our service, this is how many people we have, this is what we do. Make me a policy that does all of this in line with all of that. Fabulous.
I can go one better. All right, let's address that. I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, that's one of my biggest bugbears. Definitely going to get shut down whilst I'm speaking about this. Right. The one of the biggest issues that we have found from our customers is the cost of the policies, the fact that nobody reads them. Okay, don't know who's written. There are people that provide policies, as we know. It's what's £250 million industry a year annually. That's a rough estimate, right? That's a classic example of where we can make a difference, right? Because we can provide the tech infrastructure and have the expertise of people to contribute to it and open source it. And this is quintessential of what I've been saying all along, that it is not just the tech, it is the people. If we had a group of people, you two, 20 other people, right, we can provide gold standard policies, make it free, I'll open source it. We'll commit to putting the tech into place if we had the people to contribute towards producing those policies. And then the entire country has got gold standard policies. And if a change happens, and tech, look, the way tech has gone, somebody has found a way to make an improvement on a Monday, it should be available to the rest of the country and the rest of the world on the Tuesday. And the infrastructure is there for us to be able to do that. And that infrastructure will improve care at scale. And we can do that. We can do that within months. Yeah. So I'm signing both of you up to contribute. Since the both of you do so much of work in your spare time, you can become two of the experts. If I deliver an open source system to take care of this one specific problem, which really, really, really irritates me, right? I'm presuming that the two of you with your background are going to join and be two of the experts there. And via that system, it will increase your karma and the likelihood of you, Adam, winning the lottery next.
Well, I was just thinking to myself there, Devin, I'm winning the lottery tonight. So yeah, I will contribute, and I'll financially back as well, because I'm winning 185 million tonight. So
okay, so if that happens, you back it. But if you don't win, then you join as one of our experts, right? Deal. And you will earn the karma to win it, right? There we go. Deal. Sorted.
I'm down for that. Mark.
Yes. I've just been writing lots down as you speak and then typing in the background. And ironically, you'll be pleased to know I was just registering for the co-design community. So, Devin, are you able just to talk about it? I've got the link, which I'm going to... Oh, Adam's already beat me to it. Got the link here. But are you able to talk to us around what this is, what it looks like, how this is going to kind of shape the future of what you're hoping to achieve and do?
Yeah, okay. So I'll do this very quickly, right? So the whole discussion around digital transformation has been taking place for the last decade and a half. And now we've moved on to the utility of AI in it. And we have a solution, right? The solution is for us to end all of that, to get the right people involved. And there are phenomenal people willing to contribute towards this. And our solution is an open source care infrastructure where the sector owns the knowledge, the tools, and the future, right? As I said before, someone somewhere in a facility finds a better way to do something on a Monday, it's available to everyone on a Tuesday. No gatekeepers, no 2-year delays, no 10-year plan, right? No baby next upgrade. It's there, it's done. And you can do it with the technology that we can put into place now. And it goes back to the topic of this, because care should be shaped by those relationships and not by code. And it should be shaped by the people who give and receive it. And the more people that we have inputting into this, we can elevate the standard of care. So the idea is, anyone listening that's involved in care, if you want to join and ever wish the sector would stop talking about change, right? Stop talking and let's just do it. Here's a moment. We will put an open source infrastructure into place so that it can be co-designed with us. And what we're going to do, Adam, is we're going to start with that policy stuff that you mentioned, and we'll be able to do it within the next few months. Let's do it.
I love it.
We will commit to putting in the technological infrastructure. We need the people. We need you guys. We need the experts to come in. We'll do it in a way that's completely auditable, transparent, and credible. Because every single change on there will be seen, every single contributor. We will put the first 250 gold standard policies up to start with, right? And there you go. And it's free, like the way you guys do it. It's free to everyone. Download it, do what you want to do with it. We'll make it available.
I love it. And I'm a huge Trekkie. Like, I'm a massive, massive Trekkie. And Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, had this vision for the future where we've overcome flaws, we've overcome bias, we've overcome differences. But as a community, as a society, we contribute equally and we work together equally. And this for me is, I mean, this is singing to me, because I'm like, I always have these visions, like these, you know, when you daydream every now and then, you think the most random things in the world. And I'm like, if I could just have the knowledge of Star Trek now and create replicators, like I could just create a replicator right now, which gave me unending food, would I sell it? Or would I just put the design online so that everybody has access to that straight away and we solve world hunger? And it's one of those things where open sourcing and providing it to everyone for that equality and that equity is such a brave thing to do. I love this. I'm going to sign up. You're winning me over here, Devan.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to be difficult knowing your guys' background. But look, we all talk about care. And we all say it should be human-led, tech-powered sector-owned, right? Here's the opportunity to do it. And you know, talking about 10-year plans, in 10 years, people will look back and say, you know, that was the moment that care took back its future.
Yes.
Because, as you said, all of us people, you know, it was the humans that got involved in order to change it, shape it, and develop it. And we have enough people in the care community to do it. Enough people willing to give up their time, their expertise to make a difference. It's, you know, that's been one of the most fantastic parts of this journey is, and completely the opposite of what I thought, by the way. I have met people who are just wanting to make a difference and to give their time to do it. And here's the opportunity.
Oh, I feel empowered now. I feel like we need a hashtag. I feel like we need something to sort of like, it's like a movement. I can feel it. It's inspiring. We don't have much time left on the show, but I'm going to treat a bit of extra time because ChatGPT has been trying to take you down throughout the show. So, Mark, have you got anything else you want to ask, or should we have a look at some of those comments?
No, I think have some comments while you load them up. I think it's great. And I do think we're at a kind of pivotal time in the sector in terms of what we've spoken about. I think there's a number of people talking about that there's suppliers that aren't fit for purpose, things that are coming into the sector that aren't fit for purpose, things that we've got that people are saying will revolutionize. And actually, when you use it, it doesn't actually do anything because you're putting all the data in to get some fancy graph or outlet. And when you actually think about it. So I think actually, why not utilize all of our knowledge, kind of a bit like we did in COVID times, and join together and make something different. And I think you're absolutely right that actually, if we can do that now, actually we take back control of what that looks like. And I know you spoke about, obviously, policies will be potentially one of the very first things. And Adam, you spoke there. I didn't bring it up on screen, but I've got so many screenshots of people in some of those manager groups that are being rated inadequate for generic policies and bits and pieces that aren't fit for purpose. If anybody wants them, I'm happy to send a screenshot of this. Didn't think I would name and shame companies online tonight, but I think, yeah, we need to go back to being person-centered with the people that we support, but also the systems and the tools and the resources that we've got, because we do seem to have become very generic-based, and I think the regulator's onto it now. So, yeah, it feels like an exciting time.
Now, this will work, and you know, it goes back to in care. It's care doesn't compete. It should be care learns, right? And every breakthrough in one service should lift the entire sector, not just the organization that made it. And there's lots of organization and lots of facilities that want to do that, right? And the more we share, whether it's policies, processes, innovations, the faster we will improve. So we put together this infrastructure for a sector-wide knowledge network. Once it's live, no one's going to be able to hide behind all excuses. Yeah. And that is how we can make collaboration the default position, not the exception. Because right now it's the exception, right? But nobody's put the structure into place. And I'm saying, we'll do it. Let's do it. And collaboration now becomes a default position, guys.
And, you know, let's not pussyfoot around this. You're going to piss people off by doing this. And I know that because we did. When we started the Caring View, when we started offering stuff out for free, we had large organizations delivering similar stuff around the country on a paid-for model, telling us we were making it difficult for them and their business because we were giving the same stuff away for free. So it's going to annoy people. It's going to annoy people who want to monetize for the betterment of themselves without sharing out that knowledge and that freedom for everyone else. I just ask people, are those the people that you want to associate with? Do you want to associate, basically, do you want to associate yourself with the pharmaceuticals? Because they do exactly the same. They develop a drug and go, do you know what, let's put this behind a paywall and make people pay for it. And it's like a sort of postcode lottery to whether you get that health. That shouldn't be care. We should all have the same access. We should all have equity to that technology. We've got a time for market disruption, Tina Welfer said. Time for market disruption. I'm all for that. Any disruption, I'm there for. I'm very anarchaic. I think it's not long till bonfire night, so I think we should get some effigies ready. I think we should get some effigies. We'll burn them on the fire. Devan's like, "What the hell have I signed up for here? This is
I'm all for it. And do you know what? If we've hacked off people and because we have done something to improve care, am I bothered? Are any of you bothered? You know, who cares? There's something wrong with you if you're annoyed at the fact that we've done something to elevate care on a national or if not global scale, right? Yeah. It's not us that have the problem, so I can live with that.
If you annoy people, you know you're doing the right thing. I think
this is it, isn't it?
I'm intrigued to see what an effigy of me would look like, though.
I wasn't thinking an effigy of you at all. I was thinking, something like, I don't know, QCS or something like that. I didn't say that out loud, but you know what I mean. Tina has come in and said, can Devan talk about AI as a medical device and process for this and what this means? So if we did start to think actually using AI as a medical device, what would that process look like, Devan? And what do you think is the nearest we could potentially have as a medical device AI usage?
6 months.
Wow, really?
Incredibly complicated process. You have to have lots of. It's the technical specifications around it in terms of the classification. I can understand why no one's done it. It will be done. I'm saying 6 months. Yeah, hold me to that. It'll be done within 6 months. The process is quite a collaborative process in terms of looking at the technical operational side. Or it's in some respects, Tina, so it's a bit boring regarding all of the technical documents that you need to put together. But you need to work with. You have to have decent partners. You've got to be able to produce outcomes. It's very regulated, very governed. Your quality management system, and then it's an ongoing process. Best way of doing it, right? Best way of doing it. Nobody's done it. But 6 months will be done.
Is there, I mean, I don't Fitbit, I don't do that sort of stuff. I don't have smartwatches or anything like that. But is there not the potential for that to be AI driven? And would that not class as, so let's say I'm wearing a smartwatch and it's telling me that my heart rate has gone to this and my salt's this and my blood sugar's this and my O2's this is what it's recommending for me to do. Is there not a chance that could be AI driven, and would that not become a medical device then?
It's being able to actually get it classed as a device,
right?
So that's the and that's why that's what needs to be done, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, right? I mean, let's just hack everyone off. I think every digital system should be classified as a medical device, right? Digital has become the backbone of care. So let's not going to be registered, not going to be regulated by the CQC. Let's have some regulation, right? You're so confident about your system, put it through medical registration, register it as a device. I can say that because we're doing that. And we've got no concerns with doing that, right? But look, if you're confident about your product, do it. That's how important tech has become. That's how important digital systems have become. So providers have got to jump through hoops. They've got to meet in certain regulations. Lots and lots of them, right? Why shouldn't we? I need to make sure that my systems have been rigorously tested. Let's go through the most extreme process. Let's go through device registration. That's what we're doing. Right, so people know that we're going through that process. That gives you confidence, and once you get it, what you have is your digital system that's now registered as a device. It's giving people comfort, and people do need comfort at this point in time, right? In terms of, but it shows that we should put these systems through the same rigorous processes as our providers are put through. Look at what the managers go through. And what do tech companies do? How many people, you guys know all of the providers, how many people have got R&D departments looking at the outcomes and the tangible impacts? As small as we are at this point in time, we've got an R&D department because those outcomes and measuring are so important.
Yeah.
You should. How do I evidence that what we're saying actually translates in in reality, you have to have those evidence. You have to keep doing those research projects. And we've started right at the outset. And combine that with open sourcing, you've got something that's trustworthy and credible and transparent.
Oh, I love it. You should be master of your taglines there, Devin, over at Mark, we're just around 5 minutes over. Final thoughts from yourself, and we'll get some final thoughts from yourself, Devin, and then we'll close out for the night.
Final thoughts for myself. Well, firstly, thank you for giving up your Tuesday evening, Devin, to join us for this. I think it's really hit home around the importance of collaboration. And I think Adam and I, we've spoken a number of times around suppliers that are in the market, when we've spoken to registered managers that, have got whatever on their required development, CQC reports, and trying to unpick that with them, and, having suppliers and trying to signpost to ones that we think are doing a good job in the sector. And I think tonight's kind of just hit home about the need to actually take back some of that, control within the sector for the sector. But yeah, no, I think it's been a fantastic show, and it's been full of also insight, which I didn't expect. So, and I think that's obviously come from the people in the audience asking questions tonight. So thank you as ever, because obviously that helps inform the conversation, which has been very good.
Great. Well,
final thoughts.
I'm so glad that the two of you have now joined the movement, and I'm going to call it the movement. That was your term, right? But I'm going to say that, and I just encourage everyone, anyone who's ever wished the sector would stop talking and do something. The opportunity is now there to do it. We've committed to creating an open source infrastructure, and here's the opportunity to join and be a part of a movement to improve care.
I love it. I can't top any of this, so I'm going to use the story that I love the most, and I'm not going to read it or recite it, but the little red hen. The little red hen wants to make a loaf of bread, and she goes around the farm asking everyone to help out. Can you help me get the wheat? Can you help me grind the wheat? Can you help me make the bread? Can you help me bake it? Can you help me slice it? And all of them say no. And then she's made this bread, and it's wonderful, and they can all smell it, and they go, oh, God, I want a slice of that bread. And basically she goes, no, sod off. You didn't come and help me. I've done this all myself, so I'm going to keep it for myself. And in social care, we do have this mindset where we want everything for nothing. And now is the time in social care for us to go no more. Now is the time for us to go, this is what we want, and this is how we want it. And the only way we can do that is through co-production. If you want to eat your bread, then get making it with the people who are the experts in bread making. They will guide us. We will guide them. We will work together, and we will do it. And I will say, and I don't like making things political, but this is everything in life. We are in a sort of a point in our history now where our voices matter more than anything to any sort of social aspect that you hold dear and hold close to your hearts. And we've gone past this ability to just ignore it now and not say anything. And there is no shame in going, actually, I don't agree with this, and this is how things should be done. This is important to me, and this is what I want to see happen. Because the more we keep ourselves quiet, the more things will happen without us. And if they happen without us, they're not going to work for us. So let's work together. Let's get on this movement. www.healthconnect.com/co-design-community. Let's get with Devin. Let's shape the future of social care. And I am invigorated. I'm all for this. I've sweated buckets tonight. I'm dripping. I'm paranoid. There's a hit list out for us now from Copilot. But, whatever. We're going to do it. We're going to work through this. Bill Gates, who? Never mind. We're going to change the way social care works. Devin, thank you so much for tonight. I apologize that we nearly got you taken down by the technical bots that are out there. And on this hot evening, giving up your time to be with us, it really is important to us. And we're grateful. And thank you to everyone in the comments. It's been a really busy show tonight in those comments. And I also want to say not thank you to the guys in the comments, because this means Mark's going to go, we need to do more AI shows because everyone loves it. And I hate talking about AI, but not anymore because I'm part of the movement. So most likely more AI shows coming your way. If there's anything in particular around AI usage, anything AI that you want us to discuss on the show, and when I say we, we'll get the experts in, most likely get Devin back to help us out here. Please do just let us know on email, on social media, and we will get that arranged for you. But until then, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, Devin, for joining us in Health Connect, for providing this fabulous resource to social care. Thank you, Mark, as always, for just being you and amazing and making sure the Caring View does what it needs to do. And thank you to everyone in the comments. Mark, we are live next Tuesday.
We are indeed live next Tuesday. And interestingly, it kind of tails on to the end of this show, and I didn't plan it, but maybe I'll take some credit for planning it that way. But we're not. We're going to speak to somebody that isn't actually using digital systems. So they've trialed them, they've taken them out of their system, they've tried other ones, taken them out of their system, and they're going to just come and talk about their journey around actually some of the pitfalls to avoid, how they've managed to avoid some of those lengthy contracts, to trial bits and pieces, what it's been like working with suppliers when things haven't worked out and bits and pieces. So yeah, really avoiding the cowboys and implementing something that is fit for purpose. And in 2025, nearly 2026, is it okay to be a paper service in a digital era? So really looking forward to that conversation next week.
I am too, because when did digital automatically mean that you're outstanding? And Devon, you've proven that tonight, saying that your outstanding services were paper-based. So for me, yeah, exactly. So it's around quality over the product, isn't it? It's around what we do and knowing what we do. I'll always remember this care provider I spoke to once, and their care plans used to be diaries. These used to be diaries that the residents had in their rooms, and they would fill them in. The residents would actually be involved in it. It was stick down, pictures were going in it. They were like scrapbook diaries. They got outstanding for that. And then they had to go digital because it was their organization policy. They were going digital, and they lost all of that. They went to a generic digital system that gave no access, gave no independence, and they lost what made them outstanding and made them wonderful. So actually, it's around knowing what you are first and what you do first, and then getting a system to work for you. But I'm sure we will get into that next week. So until then, good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Devon, open invitation back onto the show. You're more than welcome. We're part of the movement now, so I'm sure you'll be frequenting with us. Good night, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. Keep hydrated. Hot weather coming this week. Make sure you're hydrated. Your homes are hydrated. Your residents are hydrated. Your team are hydrated. We don't want no one fainting and or anything like that. Get them ice pops out. You know, we've not got long left of summer. Use all those ice pops that you've got in your freezer. Magnum double caramel, not the white one because I don't like white chocolate, but the normal chocolate Magnum with the caramel bit in there. So good. Get those out. Enjoy it. And we'll see you live 7:30 next Tuesday. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.